What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice live stream. Guys, we are officially 1 week out from the 2025 NFL Draft. It's been a long time coming, Derek. We've been talking a lot about the draft, especially in the last couple weeks and through the last month or so. But we are almost there, man. We're only 7 days away. At this point next week, it will officially be draft day and will only be a couple hours out from the start of the first round. So how you doing, man? How you feeling that we're almost there? We're very close.
We're very freaking close, man. I'm super excited. I can't wait. And I am super excited for it. And, it's one of our favorite times of the year for content wise and, getting to hang out with your beautiful soul as well. Always as a bright spot in my day. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely fun, man. And it feels like I'm waiting for Christmas. It just feels like I'm waiting for Christmas to come, and it's so close, and I'm so excited. And I am excited too, because I only have like 3 more days of work before that day. So I'm off tomorrow, and then obviously off for the weekend, and then I took off Thursday and Friday. So I only have 3 more work days until that happens. So, I'm super excited for just not a lot of working and a lot more content.
Absolutely, man. And really quick, guys, just so you know, you may have saw the video that we had posted a little bit earlier today in regards to some ways that we can get involved. Like you guys can get involved with what we're doing over the weekend. So a couple of those things, and go check out the video for all the details there. But basically, we want to hear from you in regards to your mock drafts. So there is a stream. We have all 3 streams for all 3 days of the NFL draft here this next weekend. So on day 1 of the NFL draft stream, if you guys would do any sort of super chat, $5 or over, you can drop your mock draft. So players that you think the Indianapolis Colts are going to draft in the 7 rounds. And whoever does get the closest, whoever is, the closest to that, you're going to be entered into winning a very special prize. So $5 minimum entry for that. So you guys definitely don't want to miss that at all. And then we want to just hear and see your guys' draft reactions. So whenever, different picks happen in the first round, second round, all the way through the draft, we want to see your guys' reactions. So be sure to send those to us on social media or email them to us, and we're going to react to those as well. So just wanted to put that in your guys' ear, that is something that we are going to be doing, trying to interact with everybody a little bit more this year, rather than just, obviously, Derek, we react to it, live and everything like that. But, finding ways to get our viewers, our amazing viewers, I'll add, into it, because you guys have been so supportive over the years, and we just want to say thank you for that. So definitely want to do some sort of giveaway around draft time. So, yeah, man, definitely excited for everything. It really is just like a holiday in so many different ways. Honestly, I'm going to say it. It's my favorite time of the year. It really is my favorite time of the year from a content standpoint. It's just amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's fun because, just knowing the uneasiness of it in some ways. And, also when it comes to just the unknowing, there's so many different things that go into it. And obviously, we interact with this stuff on a daily basis, but, we're fans at the end of the day, just like everybody else. And, we have emotions for these picks and, who could potentially be the future of this team. And, every year it's always fun just to be able to hang out, have some food, watch football, and, players come into your team and a whole bunch of other things. So it's just always a lot of fun, man.
It is. So how's everybody doing? Shout out in the comments section. How's everybody doing? We see a couple of people in here. We saw Hoosier Sports Network in here a while ago, actually 12:42 this afternoon, asking that you think they'd trade for Trey Hendrickson if he was available on draft day. Oh, man, I feel like that's gone so back and forth, Derek, when it comes to that. I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or another. It's just so impossible, especially with the Bengals organization being the Bengals organization. I'm not going to bet anything on it. I'm not going to, if that happens, awesome. But I'm not gonna stake any sort of legitimacy into actually that happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, really, it really just all depends. And, and the funny thing is, too, is like if he doesn't get traded by the end of the or by the start of the draft, then I don't see a scenario in which he does get traded, right? Because I guess the Bengals could take a future draft pick, but that future draft pick is going to be even worse in the long run because again you'd be trading him, but you'd be getting him for a pick that's a little bit later. But I don't know. There's a couple different options that the Indianapolis Colts can go with for trading people at that time. We've even talked about the tight end market and what we've talked about the tight end market and what the Indianapolis Colts could potentially do with that for trades and whatnot. And, and it could be the same thing with Trey Hendrickson. It could not be. They may just potentially want to just get their tight end of the future and then we just move on. What I'm really hoping, Cody, is we learn very quickly whether or not Tyler Warren is going to be picked up before the Colts get their pick. Yeah. I really want Tyler Warren, if he goes early, to go early, because then it allows the Indianapolis Colts to work on a situation here. It allows them to deal with Trey Hendrickson and do a lot of these other things, and it allows you to potentially move back and still get a tight end, that could really work for you. So I really hope that that's how it'll work out for them.
I'm just not even concerned at this point because I think either way, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, I just don't think he can go wrong there. I think both guys have their perks and definitely their drawbacks as well. Obviously, Loveland has a little bit more of a drawback than Warren. There's a reason he's going to go a little bit later, but still, I do believe that Colston Loveland still can grow into that frame a little bit more, can become a better blocker than he is currently. So I think, and just for the receiving upside, I do think Colston Loveland has the edge there. I think Tyler Warren's more the well-rounded guy. But regardless of that, I do think sitting there at pick 14, there's going to be some options for the Colts at tight end. And I just, if there's one position the Colts have not touched, it's been tight end this offseason. I mean, outside of, I guess, Mo Alley Cox, but I mean, that really doesn't move you at all when it comes to that. So let's continue on, though, with some of the people here in the chat. Makai says, sup, guys. Obsidious says, let's go nap town. Charles is in here. He says, hello. What's up, Hoosier Sports Network again? Makai says, what's funny, I'm an Indiana native, so I grew up watching the Colts. I love them, but I'm actually primarily a Dolphins fan. So draft stuff for me. That is interesting, man, because
that is very interesting.
Dolphins right before the Colts there at pick 13. So Makai, curious, where would you go if you're sitting there as a Dolphins GM? I have an idea where I would go if I'm the Dolphins, but curious what you would say on that. Jeff in here says, do we draft a kicker? I mean, very rarely I feel like that happens, Derek. I mean, to be honest with you, if you knew and you had full confidence that that's going to be your kicker for the next decade, it's worth a 7th-round pick. But, of course, we'll never know that. There are a couple pretty good kickers that are coming out that I actually would be interested in, Derek. I was kind of doing a little bit of research, and maybe we can pull them up here. But, I mean, who the heck looks at kickers, honestly? That told you how ready I was for the draft, that I was looking at kickers in the draft. Which
that Cakes would hate you.
Yeah, probably.
He hates kickers. He hates kickers with a passion.
I mean, I understand it's such a quick drop off, but I know there's a couple different guys here that they've talked about. I can't even say it. Borregales is, I think, the number one guy here, which is definitely interesting there. You got a guy. He's out of Miami, by the way, out of the U. You got a couple other guys, a guy out of Florida State, Ryan Fitzgerald, and then Ben Sauls out of Pitt. So those are kind of the top 3 guys there from what people have said that could be available and will likely be available. I think pretty much all 3 guys they've said can be good starters in the league. So I would be good with any of those. Curious, any of those? Had anybody actually looked at kickers besides me? Anybody actually looked at that and decided if there's a guy that you want, or is there maybe a free agent out there that you want the Colts to go get to compete with Spencer Schrader? Yeah, and I think that does lead to this good point, Derek, of you never should have let go Chase McLaughlin in the first place. Just should have kept him. I feel like the Colts are consistently trying things at kicker, and they consistently do the wrong thing at kicker. That's kind of how it feels like, right? Because remember the whole Chase McLaughlin thing that happened how many years ago, and it just, you kept Hot Rod, and that obviously was a disaster. You went back to McLaughlin again, and then you tried to go pay Matt Gay. That doesn't work out, and here you are again looking for another kicker. It's kind of cool.
Timothy brings up a great question here. After tight end, what's the biggest need? It feels like a long list of B needs, but only one A need. Here's the thing. I think it's the offensive line, and I don't think that it's a big deal right now, but you do have to figure out your right guard position. And because even if Matt Gonsalves was the right guard of the future for you guys, or even if he's not, and you're going to have him as your right tackle of the future, you still need to figure out the right guard or the right tackle position. You absolutely have to, because even if this season Braden Smith is the right tackle and Matt Gonsalves is the right guard, you still need the depth. You absolutely need the depth at that spot. So, that's not because even at some other positions, right? Like, I know safety, we don't have a ton of depth, but we do have some depth. At linebacker, you do have depth there. It's not great, but there's depth there. You don't really have any depth at the right tackle / right guard spot that really makes a lot of sense. So, and that's a serious thing to have to worry about if you don't prepare for it now, that next year when Braden Smith's contract is up and he may or may not be on this team after this season, and even if he is, you've still had times where he's gotten injured and he hasn't been on the field. You still have to prepare for the long run of that right side of that offensive line, because right now you just don't know.
I would say linebacker for me is a bigger need than the offensive line. I do think offensive line is a need, but Derek, realistically, if you didn't touch offensive line, which I think would be foolish, but if you didn't, you realistically could have a contingency plan at least for this year. You can't say that for linebacker, really. Jalen Carlisle would be really the only guy, and he only played a handful of snaps last year. So I do think linebacker is a big need for this team. I do think you need to get a guy on day 2 of some sort because you've been able to find guys. I know the guy at the UCLA, Schwessinger, that's kind of a big guy. Demetrius Knight's another name there, potentially in round 3 maybe, that you could go get. And there's some other guys as well. But I do think linebacker is a big need. I could also be talked into defensive line, to be honest with you, as well, because especially the interior, you don't have a ton of depth. And then at the edge, Laiatu Latso is the only guy on the roster outside under contract outside of this year. So there's a lot of needs and a lot of future needs, I guess. Obviously tied into the immediate need, but there's a lot of future needs the Colts need to be thinking about 100%.
Yeah, no doubt. I trust the Carlisle at linebacker a little bit more than the situation we have at the offensive line, at least from
I'm curious how
future depth.
I'm curious how, because you saw a lot more of Matt Gonsalves. So say he goes to guard, you saw more of him playing at a high level, where Jalen Carlisle, you barely saw him. So I guess I'm curious how you.
I don't think it has more to do with the production right away. I think for me, it's just that even if Carlisle isn't 100% what we want, because ultimately you feel like he can be the potential starter at that spot in the future. At least you have your 2 linebackers there for the future, not just the immediate future, but the extended future too. But my feeling is when it comes to Braden Smith and the right side of the offensive line, again, this season, no doubt, I feel confident that, Braden Smith and Matt Gonsalves, whatever the situation is, they can figure it out. But do you want Matt Gonsalves at right guard? And if you don't, or even if you do, you need depth at that spot because you know that you've never really been able to trust Braden Smith to stay healthy. And so that's my bigger concern of the matter is, one, you don't know the long-term future of Braden Smith. Even if you do know that he's going to be here for the extended period in the short term, you still can't depend on him to be there 100% of the time. So that's where, my main focus on that right side of that offensive line comes into play.
Gotcha. Okay, so we talked about those couple needs there: offensive line, linebacker, defensive line. But what are maybe some other needs that maybe are more, say, day 3 needs that we need to talk about as well? That would make some sense for Indianapolis. I have a couple guys in my, or a couple positions, in mind here that would make some sense. But I'm curious for you, Derek, what would be some other positions outside of the 3 we just mentioned that would make some sense to you?
Cornerback could be one of them. I think there's a couple corners late that you could potentially take a look at. Running back, especially. It really is going to come down to how quick the running backs get taken off of the draft boards. I know there's a lot of them, but you very well could take one early. You could take one late. Even ones like in the 4th or 5th round, I still think there will be a few guys available at that time. So, I definitely could see that. Day 3 picks. I don't know. Day 3 picks, that's also tough. Honestly, I could even see linebacker being a potential day 3 pick. Like I've seen Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame potentially projected to Indy and a few others there. So, that could be interesting.
I would throw in safety because you really don't have a ton of depth that you trust at all outside of your 2 starters. And again, Julian Blackmon, still a free agent, so who knows? Maybe if you don't really get anybody of note, maybe you can bring him back on a short-term deal and be that 3rd safety. But as it stands right now under contract, yeah, you don't really have any depth. So I wouldn't mind, a 3rd day, because the Colts have actually been able to find some decent DBs at times, in that 3rd day. So wouldn't mind to say you throw a 4th, 5th round pick at a safety just to come in and not start, but be a guy that could be potentially fighting for that 3rd safety spot, with maybe you bring in another, veteran as well to compete with that spot. I don't know, but I definitely know that you don't have the adequate depth right now at safety that you need because you're one, knock on wood, obviously, but you're one, injury away from who's going to be out there. I mean, we don't know right now. So I definitely think that's a need.
Yeah, definitely. Says, hey guys, don't sleep on Alubi. Gus never gave him a chance. Lou will. That's a great point. I mean, Alubi definitely, Alubi very much is a very capable player, I think, and very well could see where just some guys never got chances. We had that issue with Matt Eberflus at times. We especially had that issue with Gus Bradley. Like we had that a lot, Cody, where, especially in that 2022 season, when Isaiah Rodgers or other guys were not getting snaps over certain guys that Bradley had more familiarity with.
Right.
And so that was a major issue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I am just so curious. If there's certain players, like a player that somebody brought up on X the other day that I haven't even really talked about. We haven't even considered. How about a couple years ago, Adetomiwa Adebaware? We really haven't heard anything from him. He really hasn't done anything in his first 2 years. But is that more of a talent issue? Is that more of a Gus Bradley issue? I don't know. So I'm curious how the Colts plan to use him, if at all. Is he any sort of factor? Because you drafted him with a decently high pick, and I feel like some people thought that he could actually be a really good find there in round, I believe it was round 4 back in 2023. So, could he be a guy in year 3 now that you see Lou scheme him up? You see Charlie Partridge use him more, here on this defensive line, because I think he's a guy that's pretty position flexible. He can do a little bit of everything. So is he the type of guy, very athletic, defensive lineman? Could you use him? Could you see Lou using him a little bit more? So, yeah, like those type of guys that just really didn't have a place under Gus Bradley, could they have a place here with Lou?
Yeah, I mean, it very much could be. And that's what you hope, is that with Lou's adaptability and willingness to change up his scheme, that could also mean changing up personnel. Some guys could be very much more helpful in certain circumstances than others. Just because somebody's a better player than somebody doesn't mean that they're always better in certain circumstances than somebody else. And I think sometimes our last 2 defensive coordinators, they were so stuck in their own ways that they failed to put the best players on the field for certain circumstances. And I think that could very well be a change.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Let's hope.
By the way, Derek,
6th or 7th. I don't know.
What's that?
I was just looking at a comment.
Oh, okay.
What'd you say?
Oh, I was just going to bring up the Jonathan Taylor thing. So we just found out a couple hours ago, according to James Boyd, that Jonathan Taylor will be announcing the Colts' 2nd and 3rd round picks here in this upcoming draft. So that's definitely exciting to see a current player do that. I believe we've seen a couple players do that the last couple of years. I think we saw, was it Zaire Franklin did one maybe? And then there was maybe Grover Stewart did one. I feel like we've seen a couple. I can't remember offhand, but I feel like we've seen a couple players announce picks before. We've obviously seen former players like Reggie Wayne and other people do it, but we've seen a couple current players do it as well. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on JT getting 2 picks back to back there, rounds 2 and 3?
Be very interesting to see what kind of players. What kind of players we're thinking about getting there.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, the Colts could take a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round. They may not wait very long to take one. But, who knows? I mean, it could be very interesting if JT picks and gets to announce a running back.
Yeah, that would be kind of wild, to be honest with you. That would be pretty insane if that happened. Because I think it was...
Oh, yeah, my fiance is asking what your favorite snacks are. You need to let me know that.
I thought
so
I
that
did.
Way we
okay.
Know before you get here.
All right, chat, what should I choose? What dropped yours, chat? I'll see if I like any of them.
Yeah, chat. You're gonna make up Cody's mind for him. It's hard out here making decisions.
Sometimes it is, man. I got ideas though. Just want to see if chat gives me any better ideas.
Always making decisions.
What do you think, chat? Let me know. Oh, man. It's weird. It just feels like the draft kind of just snuck up on some of us, Like it just, in certain ways it did. And then in certain ways it feels like the month of April's been an eternity.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like this month has gone by pretty slowly.
All right. Chad, I'll add this in here as well. I'm trying to eat better. Like I'm trying not.
You ain't eating better when you're with me, brother.
I'm going to eat better. So sorry, I can't really be doing the little Debbie rolls, although those do sound good.
Them little cosmic brownies.
I love cosmic. Those are my weakness,
so
dude.
Freaking good.
Those are my weakness, 100%.
Yeah, they're so good, dude.
Give me some semi-decently healthy options here, chat.
Need some pizza-flavored goldfish.
Oh, I didn't know they had those. Dang.
I didn't know they had those either. I don't eat goldfish.
Sloppy Joes.
Do love me some Sloppy Joes.
I haven't had a good Sloppy Joe in a minute. It's been forever. I feel like, Derek, we have to have wings of some sort. Just kind of like a thing,
Right. Guys, we need snacks, not
Yeah, we do need
course
snacks.
meals. We need snacks.
All right, tell me some of your favorite snacks here, and maybe I'll be able to say yes to some of those.
Well, I always love me some chips. You know, it's
Yeah.
always the goated snack.
I like a couple years ago, I was obsessed with Takis, like obsessed with.
Oh yeah, I remember that, brother. We freaking bought a bag of Takis just for you, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I've kind of gone off of them, but I still enjoy good Taki from now and again. So
we I don't know, for snacks, like
chicken fries.
I love brownies. You know, I love me some brownies. I think Zoe might make some of those potentially.
Okay.
Well,
my
do you
doc
remember
told me
those?
I got to eat
Remember
better.
those cheesecake bars that my mom made back in
Oh,
2021?
Man, I probably yeah.
Dude,
Been so
I
long ago.
love those, dude. That's diabetes in a bar. You know, it's,
God.
it's so bad before you put
So dangerous. Dude,
pretzels or ice cream. That's a good one.
the
Breadsticks,
pretzels
hey.
with cheese in them are like one of my biggest weaknesses. Like if I go to like a Colts game, like I went to a Pacers game a couple weeks ago, and I was shocked because like they had pretzels with cheese and I didn't get them, and I think that was like the first time I've been to a sporting event in like years that I hadn't got a soft pretzel with cheese. I love those things. I'm obsessed with them.
And speaking of which,
Speaking
we got a Bavarian pretzel from the store the other day, and we haven't ate it yet. So I'm like, let's eat it tonight now that everybody's talking about pretzels.
Yeah, seriously. Okay.
I think that's my sign to freaking have this giant ass pretzel that's been sitting in my freezer.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're off topic. So, all right. Real quick question, guys, for those of you in the chat. So let me see if I can pull up that picture, Derek, that of you and I last year. I think pretty much a lot of people have seen it at this point, but I want to bring it up. I want to pull it up here. I want to share it with the chat here for a second. Give me 1 second, and then I will put it on the screen. Okay. All right. So these were the shirts that we wore last year. Okay. And obviously they say 2024 draft. I feel like we've had a lot of people, Derek. I don't know if I say a lot. We've had a good number of people who have said, hey, are you guys selling those? Like, where can I get one of those? So chat, and Derek, sorry, I'm kind of just saying this, but like chat, would you guys be interested in shirts like this? Like some sort of shirt similar to this of some sort for the NFL draft? Would that be something you'd be interested in at all when it comes to that?
And this could very well potentially be a shirt that like we could, you know, like utilize for a prize for whoever wins one of our challenges.
Yeah. We've been I feel like we want to get better at doing merch. Like I just feel like we haven't done a great job with our
merch. We haven't done a ton of merch.
So I would definitely like to do a better job there. Okay, so we have a couple people interested. That would be cool. Well, if you are seriously interested, I would say DM Derek on X, Twitter, whatever. I'll keep calling it Twitter. DM Derek on Twitter if you have that, or shoot us an email or something, some way to contact us. Or if you're like, hey, I don't really know, if there's another way, do that as well, because we definitely would like to be able to help you guys out in that. Like we'd like to be able to hook you guys up with that, because we've had enough people express interest that we thought we'd at least put it out there. True. What a good
making fun of your smile, brother.
What a good caption.
That's funny. The smile you make when your mom says to smile for a photo, but your fruit snacks were stolen.
Look at the pain behind those eyes.
It's funny.
Yeah, so those are the shirts, like similar format to that. So if you guys are interested at all, DM me, DM Derek, and we'll get you hooked up. Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man.
Tired, huh?
Oh, yeah, dude. It's freaking... It takes a toll on you at the end of weeks when you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to work.
Yeah. Yep. Full times, man. But hey, like you said, you only have a couple more days and then draft. Then
Yeah.
that's it. So lots of content still to come, guys, for the NFL draft. So I'm very excited because I feel like we still got a ton of stuff to talk about here, Derek. Whether it's by the way, guys, if you haven't already, go check out our NFL channel. I haven't even talked about that really, but we've been trying to put up a lot of content for that channel in particular, and so we'd love if you guys go check that out. It's just actually if you go back to our main page, it should be one of the featured channels there. It's just BTJ NFL. So really trying to get that underway. It's kind of been slow going. It started off really hot and then kind of been slow going the last week or so. So if you guys would help us out, we'd really appreciate that. Trying to grow that, to the point where maybe someday, who knows, that could turn into something. And with the combination maybe of all these channels, Derek, maybe we can do this full time one day. But we still got a long way to go for that. So if you guys would help us out, we'd appreciate that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to say, but also it's just like I feel like we've said a lot of it already. I don't know. What do you think, Derek? What are your thoughts?
What are we talking about?
I don't know. Just in general, I don't really know. Unless the chat brings up other stuff, like for example, this. Okay, so I have a gut feeling that Ballard will trade pick 6 to 11 to get Warren after missing his shot at Neighbors last year. We also heard Brock Bowers was a name that they threw out there when the Colts were trying to trade up, but obviously that didn't happen. So do you think the Colts would do that? Do you think the Colts would trade up? Because we haven't heard a lot about that, right? Like we've heard more trade down. We haven't heard
I think that you can't put it past Ballard right now. And here's the thing,
never would have thought that Chris Ballard would have done what he did this offseason in free agency. So he's been a little bit unpredictable from what he usually does.
My thing is yeah, he has been more aggressive in free agency this year. He knows that he is on the verge of not being here much longer. Yeah. So if you have the opportunity to trade up and get a player that is going to be a difference maker for you, then you should 100% do what you think you need to do it. I'm not one to judge, okay? Like any other time, I'd be like, I don't think Ballard would do that. But he very well could. I don't know. I don't think he will. But he very well could because, like we said again, he's fighting for his job.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess it's just like, Ballard's job on the line. Maybe he's actually a little bit more aggressive. We've seen that so far. I think just with the ways the Colts have done things. And I think also, as well, some of the guys that they chose not to re-sign or even the guy they chose to cut, Matt Gay. Like, this is not Ballard what he would have done a year ago, right? He's not just relying on his own guys. Like, he's actually doing things to make this team better on the outside, right? And he's not just living with the contracts that he gave out, right? Because I do feel like Chris Ballard in the past would have almost been loyal to a fault, especially with the guys that he paid. Like, he would have just wrote it out, Derek. It kind of feels like that. Like Chris Ballard last year, I don't think he cuts Matt Gay. I don't think that happens if he's in the situation and it's the Chris Ballard of last year. It just seems like he's not afraid to do, because like you said, this is his last chance, right? So he can't afford for Matt Gay to be missing, however many % of his field goals beyond 50 yards. He can't afford to not address that defense. He can't afford to not get any sort of legitimate starting tight end on this roster, right? He can't afford to not do those things. He can't afford to do what he's done, where we know, Derek, what's been one of our biggest gripes? It's been Chris Ballard has just not been aggressive. He's almost just like settled for whatever comes their way, right? And typically that's been really nothing, especially the last couple of years. So, yeah, I would say with Chris Ballard's job on the line, he's been more aggressive in free agency. Could that translate to the draft? Maybe. I would love it. I would love it if it did. At least we know he's trying to do something, man. That's it. That's the big thing. Like, yeah, it might cost you some draft capital, but if you get the guy you believe can be your franchise tight end for the next decade, I'm to the point where I don't care at this point. Like, I am okay with that. As long as, of course, you're not mortgaging your future for a tight end. That's my biggest thing. So what would that take? We'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
That's awesome.
As I called us drafting Mitchell last year on your draft stream.
That's cool. That's really cool. It's so interesting, Derek. I don't know if you've done this before, but going back into like our previous like pre-draft stuff before the picks were made and just seeing like where we mentioned certain players that the Colts ended up taking. It's so interesting to go back and just even hear from different guests we had on talking about these different players and just seeing where we were on base and where we were way off base, because we certainly have been on both sides of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be. I wonder who will call this time around.
Okay. Well, we're going to do something fun just for a second. All right. Okay. Kat, I want you to be a part of this, okay? One player that you think, it can be any round, one player you are going to lock in that the Indianapolis Colts take. Who is it? Think hard about this. Don't feel like you have to have an answer right now. If you do, that's fine. But think about that. One player. That's a tough question, I know. Okay. We got Colston Loveland. We got Carson Schwessinger. Luke Condra. That's been a guy we've talked about. Mason Taylor in round 2. Okay. All right. So he's thinking not tight end in round 1. I mean, I'd like Mason Taylor in round 2 if you're not able to get a tight end. I just almost see it, Derek, as a foregone conclusion. You get either Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland. Like, unless Chris Ballard, which he's done this before. Last year, we did not anticipate Latu being the pick. So who knows? You got Mondin as well. Okay. Have you thought about it, Derek?
I think that Carson Schwessinger makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. Okay. Makai says Jihad Campbell. So he's thinking Jihad Campbell in a trade down scenario. There we go. All right, Derek, you want to hear mine?
Sure.
It's Colston Loveland. That's my pick.
Really?
It is. I don't think Tyler Warren's going to be there, unfortunately. I think there's too many teams that could take a tight end, starting with the Jets, that, I don't know if the Jets will, but say the Jets don't. Say they go Ted McMillan, they go Armand Membu, somebody like that. All right. Then we'll move on to teams like the Saints, who people have talked about. I know they have a need at quarterback, but they could take that. There's some other teams. I want to find the draft order, actually. I know like the Chicago Bears, people even draft or mock Tyler Warren there. I feel like I've seen Tyler Warren like everywhere, like out before the Colts pick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of different things that they could do, right? And the good thing is that there's going to be a bunch of tight ends in this draft, so you certainly hope that teams that might need one might be willing to just accept that there's other needs that they have and things like that. I will say this, like for the Jags, I'm hoping Travis Hunter will still be there. Either Travis Hunter or even an Abdul Carter type player still being there. I doubt that they would be there, but they could.
Why is that?
Yeah, just because for not taking Warren. Just because they haven't.
I would say Jags are probably more Mason Taylor, from what I've heard. Or is it Mason Taylor? No, Mason Graham.
Taylor's the LSU tight end.
Mason Graham, my bad. Mason Graham, I think.
I've heard a lot of people say that too. I think even I've said that a little bit too, and I certainly hope that they would do that versus taking a weapon like Warren, but you never know. And obviously everybody talks about the Jets.
Yeah. Okay. So here I'm going to share my screen here real fast. If I can here. I want to do something real quick as we're kind of talking about this. Okay, so this is the draft order right now. Okay, so how many teams before pick 14 do we think realistically could take Tyler Warren? All right. So you said Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 1. Vegas, no, they have 2. Jets, obviously, that's 2. Could Carolina, Derek, take a tight
end? I've thought about that, yeah.
They could. I mean, I know Dave Canales has come out and talked more defense, but who knows? They could shock it and take a tight end. Okay, so that's 3. New Orleans obviously is 1. Chicago is 1.
No, I don't think New Orleans is 1. No, I don't.
I do.
I think that there is virtually 0% chance they take a tight end in the first round. I
think it's a bigger chance than you're giving it credit for. I do.
I wholeheartedly disagree. They have so many other needs than having a tight end to help right now.
Maybe. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying
Chicago doesn't need 1 because they have Cole Kmet.
They could, though. I mean, they could.
They're not going to take a tight end when they have so many other needs. They have Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet did a really great job he's been a great weapon. You don't need 2 great weapons at tight end in the first round like you have other positions of need that you have.
I mean, why not take the BPA and just give Caleb Williams weapons? Why
because you can probably get better weapons in more impactful situations than a tight end in that moment.
I'm just saying, I'm not ruling out either of these teams, even though you disagree. I'm not ruling it out.
I completely disagree, yeah.
Yeah, I disagree with you.
Now, obviously, if one of them freaking takes him, then I'm going to be pissed, but,
San Francisco could, because, I mean, frankly, like, George Kittle's getting older.
Yeah.
They could take a tight end there.
I just think, again, San Francisco, a team that has lost somebody at every single position on the field, there's so many other things they need more than a tight end.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. And then I think really Dallas, I don't think needs 1. Miami needs more offensive line.
Dallas could actually take him though. Like Miami, I don't think is taking him, but Dallas I could see.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas? It would be I don't think it would be a Dallas pick, but they don't have a tight end. They don't really have a
draft a guy a couple years ago.
If they did, he hasn't been elite.
Well, no, but I know they drafted a guy. Was that Luke Schoonmaker or was that Jake Ferguson? They drafted one of those guys a couple years ago. Yeah, they drafted Luke Schoonmaker back in 2023 in round 2. So
I'm gonna look at this.
I don't know.
Jake Ferguson is their number 1 tight end right now.
Yeah, he's solid.
And Tyler Warren, I think, would be better than Jake Ferguson. But I do agree. I think they have depth there, and I think they have solid tight ends, just nobody that really takes them over the top.
Wide receiver is a much bigger need for them than tight end. So a lot of people have said Matthew Golden, the Texas wide receiver. That's been a big popular pick there. So, like, while I think there's a lot of these teams that could go different positions, the reality is there's still multiple teams that could. Now, big emphasis on the could take a tight end, could take Tyler Warren. So, I don't know. I just don't like those odds. Now, if he falls, obviously it's Tyler Warren for me. But I do think Colston Loveland also is a really good pick there. I do.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could. I kind of would hope that they would trade back a little bit and still be able to get him, but you never know. You're playing a dangerous game that way.
Yeah. Again, who knows? Who knows where these teams think their needs are versus what we say their needs are? Who knows? And there very well could be, like I said, like teams that we don't necessarily peg as a tight end needy team that say, he's our BPA, we're going to take him. Like the Raiders did last year, with Brock Bowers. So I'm never going to say no to that. Never going to close the door fully on any of these teams.
Yeah. And of course, when it comes to the Colts too, like anytime we need a specific player and we want one, just nobody ever goes with us.
Right.
Just everybody always takes them before we want them.
Right.
That is every year.
Right. Well, we'll see. we'll see, man. I don't know. Yeah, and obviously, if for some reason tight end, you don't get a tight end in round one, there are also some, potential trade options that you could get as well. Like Dallas Goedert, we know Shane Steichen pretty well. That's an option. Michael Mayer's still out there. So, I mean, there's options here. There's a lot of ways to acquire good tight ends. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. And, like you said, Dallas Goedert is still an option. Who knows? I don't think we've ever seen Ballard pull off a trade on draft day where he trades for a player. We've never seen that. So that's a very, it doesn't happen very often in drafts. It usually happens maybe, 2, maybe 3 times at most during, the season. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting if Indy does that.
If it's a new Ballard, maybe he does some unprecedented things even more. Who knows? I'm just ready to get to it, man. I'm ready for some answers. It's time. Almost
time.
Almost time. Well, I think that's all I got here, Derek, for this stream. I mean, just wanted to touch base with everybody, just talk a week out from the draft here. And again, guys, we're going to be going live here in a little over a week for round 1 of the NFL draft. So you guys definitely don't want to miss that. If you haven't already, go check out our stream, get on that notification bell, all that good stuff. So you know when we go live, so you can join the first round draft draft party. You guys definitely don't want to miss that. So 7 days away, guys. 7 days.
And Kwick, that trade for Buckner was not a draft day trade. He traded in like one of the first days of the off season.
That was like start of free agency.
That was literally the start of free agency. That wasn't.
I remember where I was. I was on vacation when that happened. I remember that.
Yep, and I remember you texting me that it happened.
Yeah. Will Colt be there? Colt will probably.
Oh yeah, he'll be here. He'll be around.
Colt be chilling with the boys.
If I or Zoe don't kill him by that time.
Colt's gonna be hanging out with the guys that day.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, guys. Well, like we said, go check out all that stuff with our streams and everything. And also go check out the video we posted earlier today about some ways that you can get involved here with the draft and what we're doing with our draft coverage. So I think that's it though, guys. Anything else, Derek, you got before we wrap this thing up?
Nope. Just make sure to join in on our challenges, guys. Really want to be able to do that stuff with you guys. So we greatly appreciate if you guys can do that for us. So, but once again, thank you guys, and hopefully you'll be there for the live coverage.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, that'll do it for this one. If you haven't already, smash that like button, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon, guys. Almost there. As always, guys, go Colts.